Hi there, it's Corey, and you probably noticed that modern hearing aids come in all different shapes and sizes. What does it all mean? Well, I'll try and give you the pros and cons of each style and see if I can't clear things up in 5 minutes or less, starting right now. Here we go. Okay, first up, the big, the bold, the BTE hearing aid. This can be basically our most powerful hearing aid. The processing sits up behind your ear. It's carried through a large plastic tube down into an ear mold in your ear. This is a custom-made ear mold that we will make for you. We've got room for volume control. We generally have room for program change. We've got room for a nice big speaker. Bottom line, can be a little easier to handle. It's certainly less cosmetic, a little more bulky up on top of your ear, sometimes a little less comfortable. But if you need a lot of power, the BTE is historically a great way to go. It also has a little brother. We call it the Mini BTE. Sometimes exactly the same unit, if not a very similar one. All of the processing up behind your ear. But now we're using a much thinner, smaller tube. That tube does not take a custom ear mold. That's a universal fit. So we can give you a more comfortable fit. It can be more open. But unfortunately, sometimes that tube can kink up and plug up a little more easy. So bottom line, also can get you a lot of sound, but the tube doesn't always carry quite as good a response. It is more comfortable, but it's a little more prone to plug up on you. So the BTE and the Mini BTE, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, next up, this has become sort of our flagship model in recent years, certainly the most popular in the last 5 years or so, and for good reason too. Of course, I'm talking about the receiver in the ear or receiver in the canal hearing aid. Very discreet, up behind your ear. Basically a tiny little version of our BTE with one big exception. The speaker is no longer up behind your ear. We've moved the speaker down into your ear, and with that we get a lot better sound quality. We get the ability to remove the speaker in the office, change it to a different speaker if need be, and all of these universal tips on the end can be taken off and replaced with different styles of tips depending on your hearing loss and your comfort level and any other factor that we may need to adjust for. So ultimately our most flexible hearing aid in terms of what we can do with it for you, and generally the most high technology hearing aid. Some of these even available in full-blown Bluetooth that can be controlled from your iDevice or smartphone. We'll get into that more in other videos. So our most popular and I think our most powerful and capable hearing aid. The only real drawback, if you have very poor dexterity, not great use of your fingers, some folks find it a little bit difficult to fish it in there if they've lost a little bit of their dexterity. So great hearing aid, the receiver in the canal. Okay, finally our last category of hearing aids, custom in the ear hearing aids. This is maybe more what you think about when you think of our traditional styles of hearing aids. You can see they come in all different shapes and sizes, from very, very small and visible in the ear to our bigger custom full shell in the ear hearing aid. You can see the invisible in the ear is basically invisible once it's in your ear. You're not going to see it. We don't have room for many options on this guy. We don't have room for wireless chips, typically with most manufacturers. We don't have room for a whole lot of amplification either. So pretty limited with the invisible in the canal. Our full shell here, this is great for folks with poor dexterity. Very easy to insert. It doesn't have to be quite this big, but this is our biggest style. We have room for quite a bit of power, quite a few features. But ultimately, no matter which way we go, any shape, size, or style of custom in the ear hearing aid, basically going to be what we're stuck with for the life of the hearing aid once we mold that shell. It's not nearly as flexible as the over-the-ear in terms of being able to take it apart and put it back together in different configurations. So bottom line with our custom, great for poor dexterity on the larger models and great for good cosmetics on the tiny models. But ultimately a little bit more limited in our physical fit flexibility for keeping you comfortable in the long run.